Hello, my name is Inos and welcome back to my channel. This is Work and Wonder. If this is your first time, please make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell. And anytime I upload a video, you'll be notified and you come straight here and take a look at whatever video that I have posted. I talk a lot about the mental health nursing Osce. So if you are very much interested in this, then you might want to subscribe to the channel. So lately I've noticed that there's been a lot of people who are going through the self-sponsorship route. That is, they kind of sponsor themselves after writing the CBT and then they get here to do the mental health nursing Osce. But the problem with that is that they usually do not have any guidance, unlike people who get recruited through like a trust or through a care home where they take them through the training for this particular Osce. These people are more or less like on their own. So when they come in, they start to do a lot of binge watching on YouTube, and sometimes they end up watching the wrong videos and they kind of take that into practice. They go into the exams hall and then they fail woefully. So if you are doing the self-sponsorship route and you are on the mental health pathway, please make sure that anytime you are doing your search on YouTube, you have to attach mental health, because most of the videos that you're going to find on YouTube are going to be for adult nursing. That is the very first tip. Now, there are a couple of questions that people have been asking under the comment section of my various videos that I have made. So I've decided that today I am going to answer. I've kind of compiled them and then I'll be answering them one after the other. And then I'll be giving you tips as well on how to get questions for the assessment station. That seems to be another headache for most students. They've struggled to ask the relevant questions as far as the assessment station is concerned. And you know, the assessment station is all about talking to your patient, getting to know your patient, getting to know your patient risks, getting to know what you'll be able to do for the patient, and then based on that, the outcome of the assessment, whether you are going to still continue care within the community setting, or this patient risks demand or needs immediate attention, and then as a result you are going to admit the patient. So I'll be giving you some tips on that, but first of all, let's look at the various questions that I have compiled from people who have been watching from all over the world. Thank you very much for getting me to 1.3k. We are still building. I'm still building the subscribers, and I know that with time I'll be able to get more than enough subscribers. Can you get to see you, my loyal subscribers? So now let's start off with the very first question, which is it a question and answer section? So people, I don't know, people think the Osce is like a question and answer section where you go, it's like an interview. You have a panel and then you stand in front of them, then they ask you questions and then you answer. No, this is a practical section. This is where you have to put whatever you have studied in theory into practice. So if you've studied assessment, A to E assessment, or if you've studied mental, how to do mental state assessment, if you've done it theoretically, then this is the point where you have to prove that you'll actually be able to do it. So they'll provide you with a patient and then you need to do that assessment, and in doing so you need to talk to the patient, and then that is why the marking criteria is there. So you can always refer to the marking criteria when you are doing your study. So it's not a question and answer section. This is a practical section where you would have to do it practically, and then you have somebody there who would assess whatever you are doing to make sure that you are doing the right thing. Then the second question is that would the marking criteria be provided for me in the exam? So obviously no. It's like you're going to write an exams and then they give you the marking scheme. Then basically what will be the essence of the exams? So the marking criteria, if you go on the various NMC website and then the various universities where where the centers are, like Northumbria, like Leeds, you can find these marking criteria there. It is to guide you to be able to know exactly what you are supposed to do in the exam hall with regards to each of the 10 stations. So the marking criteria obviously would not be provided for you in the exam hall. You have to just know it, just study it. This one you can have access to them, so just go on site have access to them, and then you'll be able to read and know exactly what you are expected to do. Then the third question is that, will I be talking to the assessor? Ideally, no, because the assessor is there to assess you, as the name suggests. They are there to watch you to make sure that you are doing the right. They are there to see to it that you are doing the right thing, and at the end, they are going to determine whether you were able to meet whatever was in the marking criteria or not. But in some situations, you might ask the assessor, and then the assessor would respond to you. For example, if you are not too sure of something or one of the documentations, you feel there's a problem with it, you can always raise it with the assessor, and then the assessor will clarify it for you. If there's any clarifications to be done, the person will do it. But if there's no clarification and everything is right, then there's no need for him or her to even respond to you. In that case, you are going to waste your own time. So make sure that you read and understand exactly what you are doing, so that you wouldn't be asking your assessor questions which you are not supposed to ask, and then you end up wasting your own time. So if they need be, you can always refer to the assessor for clarifications, but they are not there to be talking to you. They are there to assess you. And then the fourth question is, how long does the Osce take? So basically, it's 10 stations that you are doing, and each of the stations is timed. So for assessment like this, you are doing 20 minutes. For planning, you are doing 14 minutes. For implementation, you are doing 15 minutes. For evaluation, you are doing 8 minutes. So roughly, if you add all the number of, if you add all the allocated time to the various stations, you are doing, let's say, about 2 hours. 2 to 3 hours, depending on the breaks in between. And let's say you are doing about 2.5 hours to 3 hours. When the actual timing, if you put them together, is about 1 hour 15 minutes, but because of the breaks and all that, you might do about 2 to 3 hours. So when you are going for your exams, please make sure that you eat very well. If you are somebody who can eat before exams, somebody like me, I cannot eat before exams. If I eat before exams, I feel like throwing up at some point in time. So I prefer to keep my stomach empty. But then if you are the kind of person who can withstand that, then you might have to eat well before you go for the exams, and then drink as much water as you can as well. Of course, if you feel like going to use the toilets or the loo, they would definitely send you down there to make use of it. So don't be so much worried about taking a lot of water, and then at the point in time you want to urinate, they would surely usher you to the toilet to go and then wee and then come back and continue with your Osce. And then, is there a pass mark? That's the next question. Is there a pass mark? So here there's nothing like you are scoring 50%, you are scoring 80%, or you are scoring 70%. It's either you pass or you fail. And you passing or you failing is meeting whatever is in the marking criteria. If you are able to do whatever is expected of you within the marking criteria, then most definitely you are going to pass. But then if you don't do that, then if you don't do things that you were supposed to do as stipulated in the marking criteria, then most definitely you are going to fail. So there's no pass mark. It's either you fail or you pass. Then the next question is, if I don't feel comfortable with the patient, would he or she be changed? So one thing about this is that with mental health, you have to understand that you will meet very challenging patients, all right? You would meet very challenging patients, and as a mental health nurse, it is expected of you to be able to deal with the challenging behaviors of these patients, because ideally mental health itself is challenging, and sometimes they can be very, very, very challenging. So with your training that you have had, your de-escalation skills, how to talk to patient, how to assess patient, how to know when they are angry, how to know, when they are happy, you have to put all that in practice. So if you go in and the patient is talking in such a way, they kind of mimic the exact behavior of a patient who is either depressed or who is either manic, or who is manic or manic. So you just have to deal with it, and it is English language they are speaking. They are not speaking Spanish, they are not speaking any other language. English language. That is why the NMC require that you have to do either an OET or you do the IELTS and then there's a pass mark to it. So far as you've been able to pass your English proficiency test, it is expected that whether it's a Scottish English, Scottish accent, Geordie accent, Liverpool accent, whatever accent it is expected that you are supposed, or you are in a better place to understand it since you pass your English proficiency exams. It's as simple as that. And some of them, the accent is really weird. If they say something that you don't understand, you can always ask them to repeat it, and most definitely they are going to repeat it for you. So don't be so much worried. It's English they are speaking. So if the patient is challenging, it's expected that as a mental health nurse, you should be able to deal with that patient, unless probably in some special situation where there is a need for the patient to be changed. But aside that, you would have to deal with that patient. You would have to do your assessment with that patient, and that is non-negotiable. And then the last one is, how would I adhere to the code of practice? The standard of practice. Usually at the end part of each of the marking criteria, they will say that in all this you have to act professionally and all of that. Here, your demeanor, how you speak to the patient, how you respond to the patient, all this, you should be very, very, very professional. I have said it to some people that sometimes the patient says that I'm having thought of self-harm, I feel like harming myself. Then you, as the candidate, you're like, is it so? Like, the way you respond, if you respond in that manner, that is not professional at all. So in that case, you are not being professional. When the patient says, I'm having thought of self-harm, I have a plan, I'll use a rope, that is a point where you have to be empathetic, you have to be compassionate. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear about this. I can understand how you feel. A lot of people in your situation might have these thoughts. I know that sometimes it is quite impossible for you to control it, but that is the more reason why I'm here to speak to you, for us to find solutions to these thoughts that you normally have of self-harm. If you put it in this way, the patient becomes very much comfortable with you, and the patient will open up more when you ask more questions in the assessment station. So yes, that is a way of acting professional throughout the Osce. And that is the end of the questions. And as I said, the latter part, I will give you some tips on how to ask questions in the assessment station. So in the assessment station, a lot of people have said that they always find it very difficult to make that conversation or to talk to their patient. It's expected of you to talk to your patient whether you like it or not in the assessment station. So the very first thing is you just have to be confident. Right from the beginning, you have to be very, very confident. If at the beginning you yourself you are anxious, and then you are also meeting another patient who is depressed, it's not going to help you in any way. So you would have to be very, very confident right from the beginning. And at the beginning, try to create that rapport. People just start asking questions, once they just walk in or they just sit down. You don't have to do that. You can ask the patient, how are you? How have you been for the past few days? How has things been? Like, create that rapport right from the beginning, and you realize that with time, everything is going to sink in, and it's going to be more or less like a conversation that you are having with the patient. Some people think the assessment is like an interview. Assessment is not an interview where you ask patient questions and then they give you answers and then that is it. No, that is not assessment. Assessment, you are kind of exploring with the patient. You have to explore with the patient, and when you ask your questions and you feel that the patient has said something that you need to explore further, you will need to explore. So these are some few tips. I know this is not enough. I will do a full video on the tips to help you to ask your relevant questions in the assessment station, and then I'll be posting that video very, very, very soon. But these are a few tips that you can start off with that can be very, 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 very helpful. So yes, that has been the video for today. If this is your first time, please make sure you subscribe to the channel, and of course you turn on the notification bell, and anytime I upload a video you would be notified. My name is Enos, and this is Work and Wonder. For those of you that have been asking of materials, I'll leave a link in the description. Just click on the link and you can have access to my API booklet, which has scenarios on assessment, scenarios on planning. The planning, I've done like a model care plan where you can look at it and see how the care plan looks like. Of course, in implementation, I've also given some scenarios as well as the evaluation. So when you click on it, it will send you to another site where you can have access to it. That has been the video for today. My name is Enos, and until I see you in my next video, it is a bye for now.